All right, let's go for it. Let's turn the camera on. Just do it. Oh, it is on. Hi. Hi, welcome to Willie's Guitars. We're glad you're here. I got fun stuff, and you know it's Willie, so we kind of have a lot of fun stuff. But I just took this in, and this is a 1971 Deluxe Reverb. So for you guys, you know, a 71 is still a hand-wired circuit. This tail logo, you see this underlines this that goes down there. Tail logos are 95% hand-wired. I'm looking for something that's not a tail logo like this. This is a non-tail logo. And then they're really doing tail logos on the reissues. But when you're talking about an older amplifier, the 71 is a tail logo. And I'm going to grab really quick before I get to the guitar I want to talk about. This is a Gibson ES 175, and it's really the working man's guitar. And in the 50s, this is what made Gibson famous. They made cellos. You look at it, you're like, oh yeah, it kind of is a cello, right? So they're kind of going with that. They made F-hole guitars and violin-based guitars for the longest time. Martin made flat-top guitars for 100 years or so before Gibson made flat-top guitars. I mean, it's really, they were late to the game, and they certainly weren't first to the game in electric guitars, but they were always pro-quality stuff. So here we are. I'm going to turn on the standby on this, and this is magnificent guitars. They're deeper bodied, cutaway. You'll always pay more for something with a cutaway. It costs more in the first place. And usually with a cutaway, there's more things on here like neck binding, pearl logos, premium tuners, more binding around the body. And I'm just covering stuff that most of you already know. The amplifier with its hand-wired tail logo still represents a bargain on the marketplace. These go for used. It would take more. This would be more expensive if it was new. If you used hand-wired, point-to-point wired, using the tube-driven reverb, no digital reverbs, you're using a real pine cabinet still at this point in time, floating baffle, it'd probably be about $3,500. This amplifier is just under $2,500. Now, here's why I brought you all to this meeting. This is, just got in, down boy, heel, and this is Cecilia, who's handling the camera, one of her favorite guitars that just came in because she can relate to it. Now this is a 1959. 59 has become an important thing for Gibson because of the neck size. The neck size, the 58 was a little big and small frets. In 59 they came around and it's still a big neck, but it's a little smaller neck and it has the larger frets. And this is true of everything in the Gibson lineup. It didn't happen on January 1st, 1959, but it did happen. And so people tend to elevate 1959 guitars over 57s, 58s. And in 60, they had the wide thin neck, which is the same nut width really, but it's thinned out this way. And that is what they mean by a wide thin. It feels thinner. The edges feel sharper where the 59 feels nice and rounded. This being a thinner body too than their traditional thing, thin bodies were kind of a thing. In 1955 they came out with the ES 225. It was the first thin bodied guitar and it was to prevent feedback. These have that big woof hollow sound that also feeds back at higher volumes where these thinner bodies don't. You still get the advantage of being able to play in your lap. But luckily, it sounds even better through an amp. natural warm. Now, if they were to make this guitar now, let's just say they found a nice big fat piece of Brazilian rosewood, old Brazilian, not modern stump Brazilian. They used real Honduran mahogany from older trees, not the new force-grown trees, something that's perhaps a 700-year-old tree. And like they did in 1959, they use a finish without any plasticizers in it, which these days it all has plasticizers in it, where they actually would seal the grain by filling the grain, buffing it out, filling the grain, buffing it out, and doing it the old-fashioned way before they applied the finish. These days, we've seen some of the Gibsons, and they apply the finish without doing the sealer on it, which is time-consuming. They're a factory. They got to meet a price point. It takes so much time to seal it up and do it correctly, and then to really put it all together with a real lacquer. That would be a very expensive guitar. These are still under the intrinsic value. This is what it costs to make it, and this is its intrinsic value, or what its vintage value. Pre-CBS Strat. You can buy a nice custom shop pre-CBS Strat for about $4,500, $5,500. Custom shop, good wood, nice guitar, really nice. What's a pre-CBS Strat? Up here, you're talking $2,500. A 50s one, $4,500 compared to what it costs to recreate it. Here, on this guitar, they're much closer. This would be really hard to replicate. You could make the same shape, make it in China, not worry about tone woods, put a plastic finish on it, don't worry about the fingerboard, don't worry about nickel silver frets, don't worry about fine electronics and magnetics, and you'd have something that looked the same shape, but it wouldn't sound like this. And it wouldn't have the value like this, and you wouldn't have the potential for a real increase in value over time as it has for 40 years. Ain't that fun? All right, this 1971 Deluxe Reverb has to go through the shop. I just wanted to show it to you because, you know, we had a minute and Cecilia had the camera. And then this 1959 ES 125T for thin, ES 125T. Get it? This just came in and it'll be on the website, and that's all the time we have, and I know you guys got to go. Thank you very much.